Hello, everybody. Welcome back to All the Things Harry Potter. This week, we're talking about the Mirror of Erised, and one of us gets a little bit emotional. It's a good chapter. It really gets to the heart of things, I think.
Yeah, this chapter does go kind of deep, but that's why it's also one of our favorites. So, this is us talking about the Mirror of Erised. Enjoy.
Good to be back. And since we got together last, we actually launched the podcast, and we are now out there in the interwebs. So that's pretty cool. We're getting some feedback. People are listening and downloading, and it's pretty cool.
I'm loving it and freaking out all at the same time because more than just my awesome friends can hear me.
Yeah, it makes it more real to go on Google and see yourself there.
Yeah, I was nerding out when I was on Google Podcasts and our show came up, and I was like, oh, there it is. Cool.
So, hey, everybody. Hope you're still listening. I'm really excited for this chapter. We have the mirror here with us tonight.
We do. A very stunning image of the mirror from the movie, and it's pretty awesome. I love it. I would want one, full size, floor to ceiling.
Except I don't want to find one in the dark.
Oh, that's true.
Creepy.
A little bit.
We'll get into that, though. You guys ready?
We're ready.
Let's do it.
Christmas is on its way to Hogwarts. And I don't know about you guys, but Christmas is one of my favorite times of the year. I love decorating, and it just feels really magical, in the Muggle world. So I can only imagine how magical it is in the magical world.
They also talk about how cold it is, though. So, later in the chapter, I feel the magic more.
Yeah.
Right here in the beginning, though, I'm back to a couple chapters ago when I was talking about how they have no heat.
There's several feet of snow on the ground, and it seems to have fallen overnight, and the Weasley twins are magically throwing snowballs at Professor Quirrell's head, and I thought that was funny as hell.
But Malfoy is pissed about the Quidditch match from the last chapter, so he's still, taunting Harry.
Sore loser. Can't take it. Can't even take it.
But Harry doesn't even give a shit because he's actually happy that he's going to be staying at the school for Christmas. I would imagine that Christmas at the Dursleys is absolute shit.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Nothing for him, everything for Dudley. Yeah. Why on earth would you put yourself through that?
Malfoy starts being a dick about the fact that Harry is staying at school, too. He makes a point to say out loud to everybody that he feels sorry for all of the poor families that can't go home and have to stay at school by themselves. Just typical dick-headed Malfoy.
Side note, I feel like we should count how many times in a podcast we call Malfoy a dick.
Don't turn it into a drinking game, though, because you might die.
But the Great Hall, though, is decorated like crazy.
It seems like it's much less of a pain in the ass for them to decorate. It shows Flitwick making ornaments with his wand, but they're golden shiny bubbles. Little Flitwick just running around the room, whipping his wand everywhere and making everything all shiny and shit. That's much better than what it is in reality. Malfoy is fucking mean. He's all pissed off about losing Quidditch, and so he turns his dickness up to 11. Some of the stuff that he says to Ron and Harry, there's no doubt in my mind that Ron tried to hit him and tried to take him on right then and there, because what he was saying was just low. He had picked on the family before and taken cheap shots, but this one was more. And Ron snaps and goes after him, and I don't blame him one bit.
Well, I do think it kind of shows Ron is a little bit of a hothead.
Oh, yeah. He definitely has a temper. He was real quick to it.
Yeah. He didn't even think about insulting him back. There wasn't even a second thought. He was just oh, I'm going to fucking get you.
It's the red hair.
I totally agree with you, but at the same time, what Malfoy was using as the insults, Ron could have taken a little differently. Being gamekeeper really isn't that bad, really, if you think about it. Hagrid's a great guy. I'd be straight living in his shack. No problem.
That's a valid point.
You...
Hagrid seems to be doing just
Everybody
fine.
loves him.
Although nobody seems to respect him very much, as this scene proves pretty clearly.
True.
Yeah, with Snape's dickheadedness, too.
Yeah.
He comes in. Why, when they're fighting, Ron jumps and grabs at Malfoy and grabs his robes, and that's when Snape walks around the corner and separates them. They're both fighting. Why didn't they both get 5 points taken away?
Because Snape is the head of Slytherin house, and he's not going to deduct from his own house.
He's biased as hell.
And the way it's described in the book is Ron has his hands on Malfoy. Like Malfoy may not have had time to do anything yet. It was perfectly timed.
The other thing about this that occurred to me was that Hagrid is powerless to do anything about it because he's not a teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the keeper of the keys and the grounds, and he does not have a say in this points thing.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was saying. Nobody has a whole lot of respect for him. I don't know if it has to do with his position as the gamekeeper, service class, or if it has to do with his lack of education as a whole, because he's kind of like innocent, and he only has like a 3rd grade education.
Right, he didn't make it all the way through school.
So do they all look down on him because he's like dumb?
Maybe. He can't use magic, so maybe he's less of a person than other wizards. I don't know.
Yeah,
that sounds really bad now that I say it, but that may be the way they look at him. Or at least kids like Malfoy.
Exactly. That was going to be my point. In the world of the Malfoys, they look down on people that are in a serving station and that sort of thing.
But in a minute here, our 3 heroes kind of do the same thing. And I don't know if that's just 11-year-old kids being assholes, or if they too are just kind of not respecting him or looking up to him like they do the rest of the, adults around them.
My one little side thing on this before we move on is that, kudos to Ron, even though he's not quite into his family and it's not always his proudest moment with them. I do feel like he's a little embarrassed of them sometimes, that he stands up for them if somebody's going to say something.
Yeah.
Ron is a ride or die motherfucker. He really is.
Oh, so true.
I've always liked Ron a whole lot, and rereading reminds me exactly why.
So not only is Harry staying at Hogwarts for Christmas break, but now Ron and his siblings there are also staying because his parents are going to go visit his older brother Charlie in Romania.
Check out the dragons.
It's kind of cool.
I had a question about that. So, the Weasleys are poor, right?
Yeah, by standards of, yeah.
Of money.
Right.
So, there may be a very simple answer for this. Can they afford a trip to Romania, as poor as they are?
I was just going to say, that's their kid. They don't bring the other kids home to bring with them because they don't have enough money to do that. And I think if you scrimped all year, and possibly if he helped send money back, he's a single guy working. He could pay for his parents to come stay, or at least split the bill with them so it's not as hard.
Exactly what I was going to say. Just like when they were explaining how Percy got a new robe for becoming a prefect, and Ron had to take his old one. So not everybody is going to receive brand new things every single time, but when it's needed, you're going to get what you need.
Yeah.
You don't need a brand new robe every year if it's not falling apart. You don't need a brand new coat if it's not fitting you.
If they've spent the last 9 Christmases with the rest of the kids, they may need to go see Charlie.
I think Harry is being a little bit of an asshole towards Hagrid because he's telling him pretty flippantly they're going to the library to try and figure out who Nicholas Flamel is. Right after Hagrid was telling them, leave it alone, it doesn't concern you. The next time they see him, he's like, yeah, we're going to do the thing that you told us not to do, and he's happy about it.
And they don't give a shit that he's completely shocked and, upset that they're disregarding what he asked them to do.
And it's kind of even made worse because he tries to goad him into telling them who Nicholas Flamel is immediately after that. He's like, we don't have to go look if you just up and tell us.
I also thought the give it a hint, I know I've read it somewhere, was a funny little nod to the reader after you've read it once or twice.
They say his name in the beginning of the book. We already know who he is and what he did. And I really didn't get that joke, obviously, until this time listening to Audible. And I was like, wait a minute, that was like not that long ago. No, they said his name.
She's like literally giving you a hint.
Right.
Crafty.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And they go to the library, even though they have one day left until break, and it's only half an hour until lunch. They still go all the way across the castle, potentially, to go to the fucking library to research. But good for them. They got a goal in mind. How much easier would it have been for them if they could just type in some keywords into a computer?
Google that shit.
That's
Right?
true.
Like, I mean, this was back before internet was really, like, a huge thing, but, like, there was cataloging still. You would think the magical world would be a little bit ahead of us. Apparently not. They just have to walk through the aisles and hope Madam Pince doesn't notice.
I'll give you that the magical world should be on top of this. But it's also their fault, too. Because the first thing I thought was, why aren't they starting at one end and working their way to the other? They all separate. And it says Harry's just like randomly picking up books. Like, you're never going to find anything that way. You need to start on one end of one aisle and check every book. That's the only way you're going to know for sure. And it's going to take a long time, but if you're just randomly picking stuff up, you'll never find it.
And they have a restricted section. Books they're not allowed to read.
Just sitting there tempting all of the naughty children.
So Harry is like checking out the restricted section. He's not in there, but he's noticed it. And Madam Pince, the librarian, sees him and comes over and asks him just what the fuck he thinks he's doing. And he goes, nothing?
She totally sees him eyeballing it. Like, I'm on to you.
It was surprising to me that Harry didn't have anything better. And it says that in the book. He couldn't believe that he couldn't come up with something better. And I was like, he's a smart-ass to everybody. He got the Dursleys. He's a smart-ass to Malfoy. Like, he's quick. And he has comebacks. And that something like this totally stumped him was kind of funny to me. He had nothing that time.
It kind of seemed like she was waiting to swoop down on them, too. Like, maybe she's been watching them and just waiting for a reason to kick any of them out.
But they don't find anything because, well, she yells at him, so he ducks out of there. Ron and Hermione show up later, and nobody finds anything.
The holidays start. Hermione takes the fuck off, and so it's just Ron and Harry. They pretty much spend their time spearing shit and setting it on fire.
The thing I really liked about them is that it says that they're just kind of hanging out and talking shit about Malfoy.
Yeah.
Doesn't that bring you back to, like, middle school and all the drama that happened then, and you get back in your little groups like, fuck that person.
Trying to plot ways to kick him out of school.
Yeah.
And...
Wouldn't it be awesome if we could just do this? I really liked that because I was like, hell yeah, they did.
Yeah, they gave it a sense of, like, nostalgia, for sure.
Ron has started teaching Harry wizard chess, which is different from Muggle chess.
It seems really cool to me.
It's cool and also a little confusing. Do the people go to sleep when you put them away at night? Like, do they have little lives of their own?
The pieces are alive, they move, they talk.
It's very Beauty and the Beast vibes.
The thing that I thought was cool about this is Ron always has the worst of everything and the most used of anything. And in this case, that kind of works to his advantage because his fucking chessmen are finely tuned chess playing motherfuckers. They know how to play. They know Ron. They've got a whole thing worked out and they play really, really well. And that is awesome to me. Ron's got something. He can be like, I'm good at this thing. It's the best thing. Because Ron, like Harry, never has had the best thing. That made me happy for Ron. I dug it.
What happens to the pieces when you defeat one another? In the movie, they completely kill each other with their swords, chop each other into pieces.
In the book, I don't think they are quite so graphic. I guess I thought that was just something they did for the movie to make it look